Now, a big question I have for you out there is, have you wanted to improve your thrift game? In this video, we're going over my 5 easy steps on how to improve your thrifting. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I have never made a video like this, and I'm hoping this benefits anybody out there who is watching. Because for me, I have done this over 10 years, and not even with this. I've done this longer than that, and the original everything was going, finding sneakers, restoring them, and then selling them off, flipping them. And this was life for a long time. And so, in this case, that was a focus. That was one way of doing things, and that was it. That was how it was, and it worked. And then getting into thrifting, it was an all-around plethora of selection. And if you understand what I mean, then you're gonna like this. So before we get into it, make sure to like the video, comment down below, and also be subscribed to the channel if you want to see this still keep going, because I am going. Now, definitely step one is going to be look everywhere you can. I'm not talking about the big chain stores. I'm talking about the mom and pop places.
Listen to the nephew.
This is where everything comes into play. It's not just the thrift stores with a lot of donations. I get it, because sometimes you can come up on things that you just never expected at some of these places. And this is where I emphasize this. Check everywhere you can. And if you've never been to a swap meet or flea market, try, because it's always another piece to the puzzle. Now, on to that. You're talking about step 2 here, which is a big important part of my process, which is checking everywhere. And just like the first one, checking everywhere, I'm talking about the chain stores. I'm talking about the mom and pops. This case, I'm talking about checking everywhere in the single thrift store you do pick. Use your time wisely. This is where so many people fall short. They'll walk into a place, they'll check just the t-shirts. Okay, they'll skim through it and they'll take off to the next one.
What?
Because in their mind, it's all about numbers. It's all about how many thrift stores can you get in a day. And that's true at times. It really is. If you want those big items that are just sitting right in front of you, and if you want those big items that are just sitting right in front of you, I get it. But there's a lot of hidden gems out there, and a lot of people have brand recognition that is right here in their eyes. And when they see it, they know what to look for. And this is where it all comes down to it. Not just the men's section, not just the women's section, but also the children's section.
You sure about that?
You want to give more time for more get. And this is definitely something important to me, is that I have made a business off of finding items that people did not recognize. And for many people, they've always said, oh, you have the eye. I remember the comments used to say, you have the eye for things, where it's not the hardest thing to have the eye. It's, what are you looking at? Why aren't you paying attention? And why aren't you giving more to it? Because in all reality, when you're looking at something, it's not that hard to find out what it is. And this is going to get into another step here. But step 3 is, don't forget about collectibles, toys, box sets of games. I mean, if you really want to emphasize this reselling game, there are so many things out there to be sold, to be found, and it really comes down to you. What do you want to deal with? How much storage do you have to use to buy things and resell, and how much money are you willing to take a chance for? Not just in thrifting, it really comes down to reselling, because if you're a thrifter and you're doing it for yourself and personal, man, that's all power. Literally, I keep saying this. I'm a mixture of the two. I'm a collector first, I'm a reseller second, and in that, business comes and goes through my head sometimes, but in reality, it's sometimes what I like, what I want to collect, and with collecting, you gotta have room for it. And this is where the mounds of stuff come into play. But this is what I always talked about with other thrifters, kind of meeting them through the thrift game, was everybody knows about death piles, and that's something that, people will have a big pile of stuff ready to be sold, haven't took the pictures yet. This is where it comes down to it in reselling and thrifting, and even going to the swap meet or any place that you go to where there's a financial factor there. It really comes down to you and how much are you willing to change for. Now, step 4 is be patient and take your time, because you don't want to rush the thrifting experience, because for many people, that is the addictive property of the thrift stores. It's where it all comes from. It's going into a place, never expecting to find something, knowing what you're looking at, and coming up for a fraction of the price. I'm talking about $2.99 for something that's worth $300. It happens all the time. And this is why taking your time and patience really comes into play. And like I said, I've seen a lot of people fall short. They come in, they skim, they take off. It also has to do with your time management. It also has to do with your scheduling. It all comes back to that again, is you as a thrifter, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to change? What are you willing to factor into your life? What are you willing to learn? Knowledge is power when you use it correctly, meaning do your homework. And this is where step 5 comes into the process here. And step 5 is the most simplest thing that a lot of people, like I say, fall short. But use your phone. Okay, you have an internet that is open to your palm, to the palm of your hand. You have a phone, use it. You can use Google image searching for items. You can use trademarks that are on the products that you find. You can use dating. You can use a lot of things. And a lot of people, just like me, I would take a picture of something that's for sale. I would put it up as, look at the comparisons here. Now, if I want to buy that item, that's how much it is, but it's not sold yet. And so this is where I emphasize, always find items that are for sale, but with an emphasis on what has sold before. So you'll find out directly about what something is worth from what has sold, not for what is for sale. And this is where it all comes down to in reselling, is something is only worth the price that somebody is willing to pay for it. And it's always that. Remember, it's always going to be that, meaning technically it might not be the price it's worth, but if somebody's willing to pay for it, it becomes that price. And that is the scary part about reselling. And this is why over and over again, if you go to the thrift stores and you see the prices are skyrocketing, if you see the prices that are skyrocketing, most people do blame the resellers. And, me, in fact, I have been blamed before. So this is not a new thing, but it has been going on and it's becoming worse and worse and worse. So remember, like I said, that thrifting experience could mean everything to you. If you thrift personally, if you thrift financially, if you thrift both, it really comes down to that. So remember, direct and to the point, cutthroat, is being a better thrifter really does have to do with patience, time management, and all on top of that, knowledge. Like I said, knowledge is power. When you know how to use it and you know what you're looking at, sky's the limit. So with that, I'm just going to say what I always say. Hit that sub button because more videos are coming. This was Mick from Fresh from the Fleet.